uh, all the students and the panelists. Thank you for our conversation with alums. We're glad you're here with us today. We have Blanche, who is got her bachelor's, right? All right, in biomedical sciences with a minor in nutrition in 2019. What she's doing now, Blanche is working as a data analyst for how you say that?
Icon School of Medicine.
All right. COVID clinical trial team and is applying to medical schools. So we welcome Blanche and all of the students are with us today. And so, Blanche, if you want to basically give us a little background about yourself.
Sure. So, yeah, I graduated from USF in 2019. My career goal the entire time, well, after I was actually started as a undeclared, but after the first semester, I realized I wanted to be a physician. Um, so yeah, I did biomedical sciences as my major, and I had a lot of opportunities to be really involved at USF. I joined PAMSA, and I joined the organization Partners in Health, which is where I really felt like I fit in and kind of found my why for medicine. And I had a lot of opportunities to intern at USF in research, and so it kind of broadened my network, and is actually the reason that I have my job today. So.
All right. Well, congratulations, and we welcome you. And I think Sean just posted in the chat. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat at any time, and then we can get it going. Hi, Jocelyn.
Hi, how are you?
All right, and you?
Pretty good.
Good.
Sorry
Where'd
for
you?
joining late. I had some
Oh,
network issues.
technology is one of those things. uh, but I'm gonna have Sean introduce you, and then we just got started. Blanche just introduced herself, so I'll have Sean introduce you, and you're next.
Yep, and y'all, this is Jocelyn Hall, our other panelist for today. She has a BA in political science with a minor in Africana Studies, and she graduated in 2021. And right now, Jocelyn's working as a political researcher for Marathon Strategies, which is an award-winning independent PR firm. Excuse me. So Jocelyn, that's just our bio that we have written about you. We'd love to hear a little bit more about you and your background and what you're up to now.
So as you said earlier, I graduated from USF in spring 21, and then in the summer I started with Marathon. So I've been there for about 4 months, I would say. Currently, as a researcher, I work on climate projects, and then also we do like a little monitoring. So for senators, basically political research. I'm also from the city of Tampa, so if anyone has questions about finding things to do around Tampa, I would be happy to answer. And that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, y'all, we're waiting on the students to post some questions in the chat. So if you are a student, please help us help you by getting those questions that you want answered. But I can kick us off with a couple questions we have prepared for both Blanche and Jocelyn. So what would you say is if you had one or two pieces of advice for someone who's trying to find a major or a career or their passion at USF, where would you recommend starting?
Yeah, I definitely understand the difficulty in finding that. When I started at USF, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was a pre-professional ballerina, and I kind of changed my mind after some injuries, and I had to start from scratch on what I wanted to do with my life. And I would suggest that honestly the best thing to do is go out and like explore all your options, like find out what really you like to do, what interests you, and if something doesn't, don't go for it. Like, it's not going to make you happy in the end, don't do it.
I would say I was the exact opposite. I came here knowing what I wanted to do, and then eventually changed my major 4 times. So I would just say my biggest help was going to career services and finding. They helped me find a professional mentor. That's really key in trying to find your major, find someone who's doing something that you would like to do and see what path they took. That's what helped me the most.
That'll work. Thank you. Still no questions. We'll go to the next question. Can either of you tell us your favorite extracurricular activity or events at USF to get students like engaged and feeling part of the campus and taking ownership?
For sure. I honestly, I loved all the events at USF, from the volunteer days like Charge. Those I always participated in, and I felt like I could get the sense of community while also providing a service to the community. And there were also days where all organizations would kind of have booths outside on the MLK Plaza, and that was kind of where I found the organizations that I wanted to be a part of and met people and kind of got to network.
I'd agree. I'd say one of the best things for getting like connected is finding a club on Bullsync or something that's like interesting to you. There's clubs for everything on Bullsync, and see what they say meet. And usually you find people with common interests as you when you like attend those meetings. And then also like the week of welcome, there's like a bunch of events that are put on by I don't know what office that is, but I know they put on a lot of events where you can just like go and meet people. That's a really good thing. Like you have to get out of your dorm. That's a really big thing.
Right. Thank you. Looks like we have a question from Anisha. She says, around what time in college did you guys find your major career paths?
So I declared my major as biomedical sciences. I believe it was my third semester at USF. I had started as a summer student, so it was my first spring semester. And I didn't really have a complete idea of what I wanted to do until maybe the fall after that.
I don't want to discourage anyone, but I found out what I wanted to like actually do my junior year of college. So I had changed my major, but within the same program like a couple times. So even now it still changes for me like as career path, but it was my junior year where I actually declared what I wanted to do.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's very important to link up with career services, kind of figure out like, what you want to do, especially your freshman year. Because I've learned as an advisor, if you start taking classes within that major and then you want to change major, sometimes those classes doesn't transfer. So it's almost like you almost starting over again. So, it's very important that, for me as an advisor, I've been advising for like 12 years, to go to career services, find out what your interest is, and, trying to get into that major. So, it doesn't really, sometimes it can prolong your graduation if you're, changing classes and different things. But thankfully, Jocelyn got it through and got it all done.
Well, like I said, it was within the same program, so luckily
Right.
the classes changed. But I always talk to my advisor. That's right, because honestly, around the third major change, she was like, "Girl, what are you doing?"
Do it right. Yeah.
Looks like James posted in the chat, how difficult was it for each of you to decide on a major? And Jocelyn, maybe for you, you could talk a little bit about your minor in there as well and what caused you to pursue a minor.
So originally, I came in wanting to be a teacher, and then I took one class in teaching where we had to like go out to schools, and I realized that I hated it and I didn't want to do that. So I had like an emotional breakdown. And then I started to realize that I like working on campaigns. Just one time I volunteered for a campaign, like not taking it serious, and I realized that I loved it. So I was still conflicted. So I had declared as Africana Studies because in my mind I still wanted to teach history, but I wasn't really sure. Once after I changed my mind again and did international relations, changed my mind again, and then did political science. I would say the internships that I had outside of classes is what really helped me the most, because the more I started to intern on campaigns, the more I realized like I like politics. That has changed from now, but I would say to give yourself grace, because even if you do change your mind, you still have time to like figure it out.
Thanks, Jocelyn. And Blanche, I see also that you had a major in nutrition too, so I don't want to discourage you from talking about your major, so you can let us know about what your path was there as well.
Yeah, so as I said, I was undeclared when I first started at USF, and I actually had to take a class that first fall that was supposed to help me find what I wanted to do, and you had to take a bunch of quizzes about yourself and really had to learn a lot, and then you had to shadow different people. So after shadowing a physician, I realized that's kind of what I wanted to do. And after meeting with an advisor, as USF doesn't have like a pre-med major, they have a biomedical sciences major, which, you know, takes biology and chemistry and kind of meshes it together, and is has the most classes and courses that would help you with the MCAT, which is one of the key things in getting into medical school. So that's why I decided to do that. Although a lot of people going to be physicians have lots of different majors, you know, even in the arts. So it's just what works for you. And for my minor was nutrition. Yeah, I just, after a couple experiences, I just realized that I really thought nutrition was a really big part of medicine and health. So I just kind of thought that would be an interesting thing to add on to my pre-med track.
That'll work. Now, Sean, can the students ask questions without being in the chat? Can they like get off the mic and just ask questions, or does it have to be in the chat?
Oh, I would love for some students to get off the mic and ask some questions.
Oh, okay. So I didn't know if they just had to put them in the chat, or if they just wanted to, you know, just talk and, you know, ask questions. So, you know, students, feel free if you want to ask a question anytime. Anytime something come up, you know, you can click off your mic and just, you know, ask the panelists questions, or you can put them in the chat as well. Whichever one is best for you.
And y'all, if you're thinking about it, there's a hand raise feature in Teams, so it's right next to the chat bubble. You can just throw a hand up and we'll make sure to call on you too.
Sean, you want to go to the next question?
Sure. Yep. So the next question we have prepared for y'all is, what would you say is the best resource that you found to help you succeed? And we can talk both academically or outside of the classroom as well, if we're talking about internships or research, that sort of thing.
Yeah, internships were really, really helpful for me. I interned at USF St. Pete my sophomore summer year, and I was not only exposed to so much research, but I had like an opportunity to make this network, and that network eventually led me to another internship, and that led me to the job that I have. So the networking that was part of the interning was a really important part of getting me to where I am. One thing that I did love that USF offered, it was a USF sponsored global experience. So I went to the Dominican Republic on a medical mission trip. And that was like the experience that solidified me wanting to be a physician. I knew exactly what I wanted to do as a physician because of that experience. So if there's any opportunity for a student to have a global experience or just any sort of non-traditional experience, I would say go for it.
Definitely. For me, I would say on the academic side, read your emails all the time. There's like a Canvas board that I don't know if it's for all majors, but I know for my major, there's like a Canvas board with being like post internships or like just things that are available within the major. And I would always read those. That's how I got like my first political internship, from doing that. And then once I did that, I started getting like involved with the local community. But also like when I read it in like, there was an internship that was at the end of an email, and usually I don't sometimes read certain emails, but one day I just read that one, and it led to me going to New Hampshire through USF to work on the presidential primary, where I got to meet all of the candidates. It was like a really great experience. I did that for 2 weeks up in New Hampshire. So reading emails and contacting your advisors, because sometimes I would also email my advisor, ask them if there's anything that they knew of that was available. Because once again, when I did the internship with New Hampshire, that was at USF St. Pete, not the main campus where I attended. And then also like plug in with the local community. I started doing internships through USF first, but then I started meeting people in the local community, which led me to my most recent experience where I was a political consulting intern. And that inevitably like led me to the job that I have now. So contact people. Don't be scared, because honestly, you have to contact people. That's how you find opportunities.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with both panelists. I think research says that 80 to 90% of students who do like internships, usually once they graduate, sometimes those internships turn into jobs. I mean, that's how I started working as an advisor. I did my grad assistantship with the program, and then a year later they hired me back. So definitely getting that experience, connecting with faculty, connecting with advisors, connecting with the community, especially faculty and advisors, because I used to write a lot of recommendations. So when students graduate, maybe they was going into grad school, they needed a faculty member or an advisor to write a recommendation letter. I would write one. So, definitely make sure you connect with like faculty, advisors, and then the community, and get out and get involved, because that only broadens your experience. So when you get into your career, that one of the number one things jobs ask for is experience. How much experience do you have? So the more experience you have, hands-on connecting, it better broadens your opportunity to get a job. So
I'd also like to add that sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, that's okay.
But if you have the time for it, to get a job on campus. So I worked at the dean's office, undergraduate studies dean's office, with Shane. I'm sure you guys already know him. And there were so many people in that office that had so many resources. Like I know deans on first name basis, and they wrote me recommendations, and that looks really good when it comes from a dean, because it shows that you made the initiative. But only if you have the time for it, get a job. But I would definitely recommend that.
Right. And don't look at small things, because when I started, I worked in the mailroom. And that looks like, oh, you working in a mailroom, but you'll be surprised how many people I actually connected with and talked to, delivering mail and going to their office, and different things like that. So don't look at small jobs or small things like, oh, that's too no, because those things can lead into bigger things. So the next question, does any other students have any questions from that conversation or that you would like to say? No? All right, we're asked the next question. What is one thing that surprised you when you started your major or your career in post-graduation life?
Well, in the research field, I realized, and it was very surprising to me, how difficult it is to find participants from diverse populations to join research. I think going into it, I already knew that that was something that was kind of a difficult thing, but being able to see it firsthand, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so hard. So there's a lot of different types of ways that we tried to recruit from different diverse populations, and our team really strived to get the most diverse group of participants, just because it reflects a more accurate look on the overall population. So it's just an interesting thing that I noticed.
I would say what was very shocking was seeing the different paths the senior associates in my firm took to get to where we're both at now. Because sometimes being a recent grad, you feel that you're not adequate enough to be in certain rooms or certain spaces. So most of my experience was as an intern. So I always thought I would never think I would make it to associate. But it's just like nice to see like there's some people who are like private PIs, some people who work for the government. Like there's many different paths that people took to get to where we are. So that was really cool.
That'll work. Thanks.
And y'all, to the students in the room, please make sure to use this time to your advantage. We want to help answer the questions that you have. So we can keep asking our own questions all day, but again, we're here for y'all, so use the time. But I'll take us right through to our next one. So for both Jocelyn and Blanche, what would you say was the hardest part, and maybe also the best part, so kind of both ends of the spectrum, of your current position, and maybe even the steps you took to get to your current position, so the search process?
The best part of my job is the fact that it's a very rewarding experience. You know, being part of a COVID clinical trials team, I feel like I'm kind of part of history. You know, I've gotten the opportunity to help the Pfizer and Janssen vaccines like become available to the public. So that's just like a really cool thing for me. A hard part about my job is that it can be very stressful. There's a lot of last minute deadlines that have to be made, and so it requires a lot of overtime and a lot of just kind of panic, like gotta get everything done before end of day. So that would be the most difficult part of my job. And how I got here, well, I said that I networked a lot in a previous internship. I worked with HIV patients at Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai in New York. And my supervisor actually contacted me during the pandemic asking if I wanted a job, which was perfect because I had just been furloughed from being a medical scribe. So it worked out really well.
I'd say the difficult part for me is learning professional culture, not like professionalism, but like learning how your boss likes things, opposed to like we're used to pleasing our professors, I guess you could say. Sometimes you have stickler professors that recommend like that want you to do things differently than the other professors, and sometimes it's like that with like senior associates or the directors of our firm, where I have to learn. Someone may want to document this way, but someone won't. Like it's just a little difficult, but you have to like study people's like behavior in a sense, and then also learning how to do my job within COVID. So my firm is based in New York, and most of them are in New York, but I'm here in Tampa still, and it's just a little harder, I would say, like doing things over video calls because you have technical issues and like you can't really see the people. But after a while, you kind of get used to it and you like push through it. I would say what got me here, which I think is very important, is when I did my interview for this job, they made me do a case study. And with the case study, I had to turn in a report. And with my report, I like on my like side time, sometimes I doodle and like do like graphic design. And I use those skills to make my report look like better. And they were just very blown away by that. So like, don't think that like your side hobbies can't coexist with your work hobbies.
Thank you. Thank you. Look like we had a few more students pop in. Welcome. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the chat, or you can get off your mic, click off your mic, and just ask the panelists, some questions about the conversations that we're having with the alums. So feel free anytime. Well, we'll go to the next question. What further education, training, development, or certifications are important to your current or desired industry?
As for further education, I mean, anything really related to research is good. My position doesn't really require anything extra. I do trainings frequently just for our studies. But in terms of like certifications, I mean, if I wanted to become a CRC or a CRA, just a different position, then I would have to go through different certifications. And they're all, just different courses related to research.
So earlier when I said that there was like different paths that people took to get to where I am now, I think that was really important because when I talk to my senior associates, because ultimately I would like to move up in the company, most of them have like a MS or like it's something different. Like some people have an MS in history or like it's just politics is weird. So there's people that I've met that doesn't have a college degree and they're ranked higher than me. There's people that I met that are PhD. Like it just, I guess, depends on what you would like to do. Currently, for me right now, I'm taking some time off, so I don't intend on going back to school. But I am working on a public policy certification. So.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I can remember when I was going to school and I graduated with my associates. I used to hate hearing people say, "What's next?" I mean, I just graduated and I was excited, and then I would always get the question like, "What's next?" Because we're forever like trying to grow and learn different things. And so then I graduated with my bachelor's. I was excited, and that one person always came, "What's next?"
Yep.
So I went on, got my master's. That question popped up, and so even now, I'm leaning towards getting my PhD. But just forever, just constantly trying to learn and different things like that. I always stick to a quote that says, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So you constantly trying to prepare yourself and get ready for what's next. So that you can constantly grow and just, stay in tune with everything that's going on. So, definitely, constantly staying ready because you're going to get that question. Like you're going to get a certain point in your career. It's going to be like, okay, what's next for you?
And both of y'all mentioned, doing extra certifications or extra courses that maybe aren't necessarily a formal degree. And I think that that's something a lot of students right now don't realize is also kind of part of the process. You don't, in certain industries, you don't need a master's, you don't need a PhD to reach the highest level. It's about what skills you're developing. Mm-hmm. So, right now I got my master's 2.5 years ago. But right now I just like hopping on LinkedIn learning different types of tools and systems and like trainings that you can find there that help me be a better educator in my profession. So it's not always the huge time investment or the money investment of getting another degree. There's lots of ways that are going to be relevant for you in your own context to keep kind of leveling up in even small ways. So keep that in mind to all the students in the room. And y'all as like USF students have access to LinkedIn Learning. So use it. Hop on there, log in your email, and do some trainings on different software and systems that you in those internships that you're looking for. There's my plug for the morning.
All right. Appreciate it, Sean.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. I can carry us right into our next question. This is a great one. Y'all touched a little bit on this with, touching about what types of education go into your company and how that influences people's positions. But how would you describe the culture of where you currently work? The good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah. Being a part of a research team, going into, I wasn't expecting what it's like. I thought there would be, the physicians are so like highly regarded. I wouldn't expect them to be as down to earth as they are. And being part of a research team, everyone is extremely helpful. If you need something done, you ask them and they'll do it, like even if they're busy. And so everyone's just super nice and helpful, and there's always an opportunity to learn. So if you want to learn something else, and I've had the opportunity, so I wanted to learn how to build our specific databases where we collect our data, and I asked and I learned. So now I actually have that as an additional role to my job.
Cool. For me, it was a little difficult with it being COVID and stuff, like trying to get to know people within the firm. But I would say people were really nice to me when I first joined. And then, as we touched on earlier about like further education and things like that, everything that I like learned about research, I've learned more so in this job. I mean, I did some research, like undergrad research at USF, but like as far as like professional experience, they taught me everything like within my first like month. Um, like honestly, I could probably get a certification in most of the things that we do, but they also taught me how to work with softwares that we use and databases. Like, so that was a really good thing. And then also not being afraid to ask questions was a really, really big thing because one time, like I was just asking a question of how a certain project worked, and then I got pulled onto something with the CEO, and that's like a really good look because you're like working hand in hand as an intern, which I kind of think that experience is what made me get my job permanently.
That'll work. That'll work. So students, anytime you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. Cut off your turn your mic off. Just ask the question. We got some very great panelists with us today that's giving us very good information. And one of my mottos is information without application won't change your situation. So information with application to change your situation. So, we have some great information the panelists is giving us. So, you can ask questions that come up, put them in the chat, or just, cut off your mic and ask, because the more information you get, the more information you can apply, the more information can change your situation and cause you to grow and do what you need to do. So just think about that. Okay, we got a question. All right. Anisha said, do you guys minor in anything? And if so, was it helpful to where you are now?
So I minored in nutrition. I would say that the courses themselves, they were all online. That's all that was really available to me. But if you were good at online learning, that is definitely something you can do. I would say that I have not exactly used my nutrition side of my degree for my job exactly yet, but I have the opportunity to use it for medical school applications, and so that's something that I find really useful.
For me, I minored in Africana Studies, and more so what was helpful for Africana Studies was just piquing my interest in like African history. That was something that I was interested in, but as far as like today, I don't necessarily use it, but I would say that it was helpful while I was an undergrad because it allowed me to like learn more and explore more about like my identity. And a lot of the classes were like speak spaces where like we like did open talk and things like that, and I think that was really helpful with like allowing me to not be afraid to speak my opinion. Professionally, not so much, but like as for like personal development, that was really helpful.
All right. Thanks for that question. Appreciate it. All right. So the next question kind of leads into what I was saying earlier about if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. To the panelists, what is one thing students can start working on right now to be competitive for a similar position?
So one thing that I had to have to be able to actually have one of my internships, I had to take a biostatistics course. That wasn't something part of my major. It was just something that I had to elect to take to be able to secure an internship. And that's how I got to my job now. And then I would say taking advantage of any research experiences or internships. Without that, I don't think I would be qualified.
With me working in politics, it's more so about like who you know, in a sense. So I kickstarted my political career, I guess, my sophomore year of college when I worked on campaigns. So don't be afraid to like volunteer. A lot of the work that I did was unpaid for a long time. Like you're mostly like working on campaigns or knocking doors, like little things that you do lead to you like meeting someone that could change your life. Because I worked on a local campaign where I met my last boss, and that got me to where I am now. So just go out and like find opportunities that may interest you, volunteer, talk to people. Like politics is all about who you know. Like
I think that's Jocelyn. I think that's true in more industries than people let on too. The bit on being about who you know. I think that's y'all have mentioned it in a lot of different ways when talking about your internships and the networking that you've done in various capacities. It's in more than just politics. You need to get out there and know people. You mentioned it, I think, Jocelyn, when you said just get out of your residence hall and go meet people on campus. It's a good time to start putting that into effect now as a student, when you're still trying to kind of map the path and figure things out.
definitely. And then also like plug in with a professional mentor. Like that was like the most positive thing I've probably done while I was in college. I had a professional and academic mentor. For students of color, there's like a BFSA, I think. There's like a Black faculty staff group that does mentorships for young people of color. And that was like the most helpful thing that I did. And then also those recommendations for those people. Sometimes you ask like your professors for a recommendation and they know you, but they don't know you unless you go to office hours. But like your professional mentor, they know you because they've been with you through your whole journey. And that's like an outstanding recommendation.
Absolutely. It looks like we got one more question in the chat from Jashani. It says, did you have a job? And if so, how did you balance everything as a student?
So I did have a job. I worked as a cashier at Panera Bread. It was at times very difficult to manage everything, especially when I was taking, max credit hours and especially difficult courses. And I don't think I was very good at managing it at the time. Now that I have my full-time job, I'm actually taking 3 classes part-time, just kind of for fun. And I have the ability to manage it a lot better. I think just making sure I plan and I kind of schedule everything to a T is very important, and kind of time management is essential. Knowing that you have to get something done, like not procrastinating on it. And I would say if it, I don't know, it's hard to say like how to manage your time, but it's something you have to learn how to do. And once you do, everything becomes a lot easier.
So I worked at the undergraduate studies dean's office, and it was a work study job. So I think like in the beginning of the semester, there's always jobs that are posted, and if not, so check it. That was a really helpful job because they allowed us to do our homework while we sat at the front desk, and I honestly did all my assignments there. So it wasn't really like a challenge for me, but I would say getting out of like the student mindset was a really challenge for me, like coming into professionalism. Because I'm so used to doing my work at nighttime. So in college, I pulled all-nighters all the time. And now I had to learn how to use company time to do that work, because when I first started my job, I found myself like up late at night doing like tasks that I could have did during the day. And it's just, you have to change your mindset from that, which was very hard for me.
Yeah, those are very key points, because when I started, I was a huge procrastinator. I would wait to the last minute. Just I had so much going on, because I was a post-traditional student, so I had a family, working, like everything, and I would just wait to the last minute. And then as I got into my bachelor's and grad school, I learned that if I prioritize my time and get my work done early, I had more time to do other things, because the more I procrastinated, even though I was doing other things, that work was constantly, in my head. You have to do this, you have to do this, you have to so I'm not really enjoying myself, even though I'm doing other things, because I'm constantly thinking about the work that I have to do. And so what I learned to do was prioritize everything. So if I had work, that needed to be done, I would do it right away. And then that freed my mind up, and it freed everything else up that I didn't have to worry about doing that other work. And so I would definitely say make sure to prioritize your time, use your time wisely. And if you have tasks to do, just go ahead and do it. I'll never forget, my instructor gave a project that wasn't due until like a month later, and I did it within 2 weeks. Like, I got it done. And so the professor was like, man, if all of my students could just be like Walter and, have their work done, a month early, but I felt good because, I got it done in 2 weeks. And then I had now a whole 2 weeks just to relax and enjoy, to myself. I didn't have that pressure of, man, I got to get this done, within a month. So I would definitely say make sure you prioritize your time, use it wise, and stick to, your homework and different things, your assignments, tasks, because it's going to actually free up your time and free up your mind to be easier to do, other things that you want to do. So.
Yeah, prioritization is very important. I learned that there's such thing as productive procrastination. So, doing your laundry and other tasks that are probably productive, but you could probably wait on doing them after you do your homework. That's a thing. So it took me figuring that out and realizing, okay, I could probably do this after.
Right.
And then even if you get it done early, it gives you time to go to your professor's office hours, and like you'll get a better grade because you looked over your assignment.
Right.
Yeah, because that's actually what he did. He graded my assignment early. I was able to make corrections, and then I got an A, on the project. So, definitely, work with your faculty. Meet them in their office hours. When I taught the freshman seminar class, that was some of the things, your instructors, your faculty, your advisors have office hours where sometimes we're just sitting here waiting on students to come in that we can, talk to, give advice, help in all kind of ways. And what I learned was the more you talk to your faculty, the more they get to know you, the more you get to know them. At the end of the day, when it comes down to making grades and, assigning grades, you may be 3 points away from an A, but because that instructor you talked to, you went to their office hours, they seen you was working hard trying to, get it done, they may just slip in 3 points, for participation to give you that extra A. And so definitely, go to your faculty instructors office hours, talk with your advisors, because that can, help all in the long run.
All right, y'all. It looks like we have time for a couple more questions. So again, if you are a student, if you are hanging out listening to us today, y'all, let us help you. Put your questions in the chat. Put your mic on. We're happy to make space for you. But the last one that we have on our list of questions, and this might be the big one, might be the stumper for y'all. We've talked a lot about your path getting here, but not much about your path forward. So what's your next anticipated career step? What's your goal long run, if you have one in mind already? We would love to hear about what's coming down in y'all's future.
Goes back to what I just said. What's next?
Yeah.
That's right.
So my long-term goal is to become a physician, specifically one very involved in women's health. I would love to be an obstetrician/gynecologist. Getting there is definitely the difficult part. I've applied to medical schools. I plan on retaking my MCAT because I didn't feel like I did very well the first time. And sometimes it takes more than once. So yeah, and I'm just going to continue trying to gain clinical experience and volunteer and just like really boost my application until I can get in.
My long-term goal is to be a senior data analyst. So as I said earlier, I'm doing a certificate right now in public policy and also data analytics. So for right now, I'm taking the year off and I'm working at Marathon, but I do plan on moving up within the company and then further spreading my wings and maybe finding a new firm. That's not on record, but yeah, I'm just enjoying life right now.
And hey, that's a piece of it too, right? You need to enjoy the path along the way. So
Yeah.
make space for that too.
Yeah, I don't know if this question was on there, but I just wanted to, ask the panelists, through difficult times, school can have a lot of anxiety, sometimes can have a lot of stress, so through some of those difficult times, what support systems do you use to, lean on to really keep you focused?
Yeah, so family and friends is definitely a big one. Just having someone who or people who support you and can encourage you to keep going on is really important. I also think it's really important to have just different activities, hobbies, things that you can use to cope with the stress and to help you, take time for yourself. For me, I really like painting. So whenever I just have the opportunity to paint, or I feel like I have time or overly stressed out and, I'm not going to be able to get anything done, maybe I'll take, some time, do some art, and it kind of, centers me a little bit more and I can get all the stuff I need to get done again.
For me, I would say I use the counseling center a lot, which I miss now as an adult because it was free. And it's just kind of harder to find someone to tell your personal business to all over again, more so. But the counseling center was really great for me when everything would start to like pile up and I would feel like it's too much. And then also surrounding yourself around great friends. Like, as I said earlier, get out of your dorm. Some of my friends I met like in the common area of my freshman year dorm, and we're still friends till today, post grad. Because sometimes with your family, it's a little harder to talk to them because they don't necessarily know what you're going through. Like they can kind of understand, but like if you talk to your friends, they're in the same situation as you. So it's kind of easier to vent to those people and be there with those people. But yeah, definitely find something that you love, like outside of school or work, like something that's your passion, and use that as like a self-care tactic whenever things get too much.
Thank you. So it looks like we got about 10 minutes left. So do we have any other questions from the students?
The clock is ticking, y'all.
While students are thinking, I'm gonna go ahead and drop my email in the chat. If anyone would like to email me, I would love to give information to get involved around campus 101. So
I'll do the same thing.
And y'all, maybe a good way to wrap up is just if you have any other pieces of wisdom or advice for the students who are just kind of starting their paths at USF. I'm sure that they would appreciate hearing that.
I would say don't be afraid of failure. Don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help. Those two things I think I struggled with. I was very shy going into college, and I think for the most part, I was too afraid to ask for assistance or even go to a professor's office hours. And I think if I did that, I think I might have had an easier time post-graduation. But those are two things I think are really important.
as for me, I'm a first gen student, so that means that I'm the first guy to go and graduate from college. So the biggest thing I would say is to give yourself grace because you're figuring this out for the first time. Even for students who aren't first gen students, like you're figuring this out for the first time. Like it can seem a little intimidating when you talk to people who seem like they have their life put together. Because me, I came into college thinking I knew what I wanted to do, and plans change. Plans always change, and then also. Visit academic advocacy. Like that's the office that I worked in. It was like combined with the dean's office, and they're really great people. Like they help you anytime you're in a good situation, a bad situation. Like they're just there to hear you, and it's very helpful. Like just this, like there's a bunch of resources on campus that a lot of people don't know about, just because we don't go into those offices. but they're there to help you. So
Awesome, y'all. Well, thanks again so much for your time. To the students, if you have any last questions, throw them in now or forever hold your peace, or just join us at the next panel. You know, they're happening throughout the day and the week. So, Walter, any other questions for our panelists?
Nope, that was it. We thank all of our students for joining. I hope you take the information, like I said, and apply it and use it. It's a lot of great information our panelists gave on their career and on their academic career. Two great panelists that, came through USF and, gave very good information. So we really appreciate our panelists and good luck on your career and all your, on your journey. And, anytime you feel free to come back and do something at USF, feel free to come back and talk to the students like you're doing because you're great alumni. And so we just thank you for your time. Anything else, Sean?
I think that's it. Thanks again, y'all. We again, Walter said it all, but we appreciate you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks for giving back to the community here.
no problem. Thank you all for your It was really great talking to everyone.
Thank you. You too, Jocelyn. You too, Blanche.